Welcome. Today we're going to do a half an hour balance Pilates. So let's get straight into it. So we're just going to bring feet hip width apart. Gently take weight forward through your toes, backward through your heels, and just find that equal kind of pressure between the forefoot and the hind foot. So just find that equal pressure and come to that midpoint. And then we're just going to make sure that we've got equal weight through left leg and right leg. So it's just sway in the breeze side to side, coming back to that midpoint. Soft knees, legs nice and long. We're going to think about that pelvis. We're going to imagine it to be a big bowl, marble at the bottom. We're just going to roll that marble forwards and then roll that marble backwards. Go arching and hollowing through that lower spine, getting a little bit of movement through the lower back. And then we're going to feel how far we go in either direction and come to that midpoint. So that marble at the bottom of the bowl, slightly lengthening down through the back, pulling up through the front. Keep those knees soft. Make sure you've not locked them out. Keep the kneecaps nice and relaxed. From that nice neutral pelvis, we're going to lengthen up through the spine. So imagine that spine stacked on top of one another, lengthening all the way through between the shoulder blades, back of the neck, crown of the head. Just do a couple of loops through the shoulders. Just loosen off through the shoulders. Back the other way. Good. And then lift the shoulders up, glide them back together, opening through the collarbones, and then relax the shoulder blades down. So you've got a nice long neck, and then your collarbones are nice and wide. And from there, we're literally just going to start with a little bit of balance work. So you're going to keep your left knee soft. We're going to engage through those core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. And I'm just going to get you to transfer your weight onto that left leg. Peel the right heel up, and then maybe pop hands on hips. If you need to just have a fingertip touching something, you can do. We're going to just see if you can try and lighten the touch through those right toes. And if you can, see if you can bring that right foot off the floor. And I literally just want you to think about trying to balance. So thinking about that weight distribution on that left foot, pelvis nice and neutral, core switched on, really stacking through the spine, through the crown of the head. Imagine just being lengthened, a helium balloon attached to the crown of your head, pulling you up tall, and seeing if you can just balance on that left leg. Make sure you haven't locked that knee out on the left side, so make sure it's just soft, you're not locking out through the knee. And just keep breathing. You need your toe just in a little bit of contact, and that's challenging you enough. You can do, if you need to just have fingertips on a chair or a worktop, then that's fine, but just trying to hold that balance. Good. Just hold it for a couple more breaths. Good. And then gently relax that right leg down. Good, well done. Have a little loosen off through the legs. And then we're going to come onto the other side. So up nice and tall, pelvis neutral, lengthen through the spine, core switched on. We're going to soften that right knee, and then just slowly peel that left heel up. Weight transfers onto that right leg, and then see how you go in terms of just being able to take that left leg off the floor. Sitting up nice and tall, so make sure that hip doesn't drop out to the side. Sit up nice and tall, lengthen through the spine, lengthen through the crown of the head. Good. And then just touching the toe down if you need to, having your fingertips just on a worktop or a window ledge or a chair. Good. You might find that one leg is easier than the other, and that's fine. We normally have one kind of leg that we use a bit more dominantly for our balance. So it's working both sides, trying to challenge yourself, but not too much. Have your toes touching if you need to. Keep that knee soft on that right side. Good. Nice and tall through the spine. Keep the core switched on. Good. Keep breathing. One more breath in there. Good. And gently, with control, lower back down again. Nice, good, well done. Okay, you can practice that one whenever, waiting for the kettle to boil or when you're on the phone, just to try and keep working at your balance. It's something that we do less and less as we get older. Kids do it all the time, but we tend to do it less and less. So from here, we're going to come into foot series. So feet hip width apart, Nice and tall through the legs, nice and tall through the spine, pelvis nice and neutral, soft knees. And then from there, we're going to engage through the core muscles. We're going to sit back as though you're sitting down to just perch onto bottom onto a chair. And then we're going to lift the heels up. And then we're going to lengthen all the way through and then come down foot flat onto the floor. So we're going to squat down, keep those knees over the feet, lift the heels, lengthen all the way through, challenge that balance as you come all the way up, and then coming back down. Good. Breathing out, breathing in, breathing out as you lengthen all the way through, in as you come back down. Good. Breathing out, in as you lift your heels, out as you lengthen all the way through, and then lower those feet back down again. Good. And again, breathing out, in as you lift your heels. Control, think lengthen through the crown of the head, and then come down. So keep that spine nice and long. Breathing out, lift the heels, lengthen all the way through crown of the head, come back down. Keep those core muscles switched on. Good, and again. Let's do one more. Breathing out, lift the heels, lengthen through crown of the head, balance, foot flat. Nice, good, well done. Okay, so from there, we're just going to come into transverse fold. Again, I want you to challenge your balance, but I don't want you to be really wobbly. So if you need to hold on to something for balance, a window ledge or chair, that's absolutely fine. So we're going to bring feet hip width apart, soft knees, pelvis nice and neutral, lengthen through the spine, through the crown of the head. And then from there, engage through those core muscles, and we're going to take the right leg out behind you. Left knee stays soft, and we're going to lean forward. So from your heel all the way to the crown of your head, got a nice long straight line. Keep that left knee soft, core switched on. Now you can either keep that toe in contact, and then from there we're going to come up tall, bring that knee up in front of your hip, and then we're going to roll forward, keep that spine nice and long, and you can touch the toes to the floor if you want to. So coming up tall, and then rolling over that standing hip. Toe touches the floor if you want to. If you want to challenge yourself more, then you come further into lengthening that heel out behind you, and then controlling all the way up. And you can find a midpoint if you want. You can find a little point where you're halfway, controlling back up. Core switched on, spine nice and long all the time, so we're not rolling through the spine. Good. Control through. Control back up again. Hard work this one, really controlling through that standing leg. Good. As I say, if you need to just hold on gently, keep that toe tapping down as you come back down. We'll just do a couple more on that side. The last couple. Good. And one. Good, well done. And then relax that foot to the floor. Good. A little loosen off through that standing leg. And then we're going to come to the other side. So from there, up nice and tall, pelvis neutral, core switched on. I'm going to really lengthen through the spine, soft knee on the right, left leg comes out behind, nice long line from the heel to the crown of the head, nice long line. And then from there you can either just come up into bringing that knee in front of you and back down, toe to the floor, nice long line, heel to the crown of the head. Or if you want to work slightly harder, then come more parallel to the floor. Push that heel out behind you, lengthen through the spine so the spine stays nice and straight. We're using the core muscles to balance. Good. Control it. So coming through into heel to floor. If that's what works for you, you can gently hold on if you need to. Good. And challenge yourself enough to make you feel like you're working and your balance is just being kind of put off slightly, but you're keeping enough control and working at a level that you feel you can control even though it's challenging your balance. Good, keep that right knee soft. Work at a pace that's right for you. We're going to do a couple more. Last one. Good, well done. And then relax down. Good, well done. Have a little loosen off through the legs. Okay. And then from there again, we're going to come into a hip twist. So just make sure that those shoulders are down and back. Pelvis is nice and neutral, soft knees. We're going to bring the feet actually really close together. So feet are nice and close. And maybe have your hands on your hips, because I want you to really keep pelvis really nice and still. So making sure we're not twisting or lifting one side or the other. And we're going to stand on our left leg. Keep that knee soft on that left side. And you can either just come into lifting the heel off of the floor and keep your toe in contact. Imagine your toes on a pound coin. And you're going to keep that toe on the pound coin, but just twist the knee out, keeping everything else still. So pelvis up really still. And that toe stays on that pound coin. Now if you want to work harder, keep those core muscles engaged. You can pop your foot onto your shin, keep that left knee soft, and twist that knee out from there. But again, keeping everything from pelvis up really nice and still. Working on that balance. Good. Controlling out. Controlling back in again. Keep the shoulders relaxed, core switched on. Think about that length through the spine, crown of the head. Good. Nice and tall, nice and stable. Make sure that pelvis is nice and neutral. You're not pop that hip out to the side, or you're not lifting the other side. It's easy to compensate, but actually you're really trying to stabilize on your left hip as you mobilize through the right hip. Good. Let's do a couple more. Good, well done. And then just gently relax off. Again, have a little loosen off. Feet together, up nice and tall. Reset through the pelvis, stack through the spine, shoulders down and back, core switched on. Soft knee on the right, peel that left heel up. Imagine that toe on a pound coin. You can either twist out from there, or if you can control, stay up nice and tall, left foot onto right shin, and rotate out there. Good, well done. So keep everything from the pelvis up nice and still. Make sure you're staying nice and neutral through the pelvis. So again, you've not dropped out, you're staying nice and tall, not lifting up on the left side. Good. So remember, if that's too much, and one side might be different to the other, so it might be that you work with your foot on your shin on one side and your toe on the floor on the other. And that's fine. You need to challenge yourself, but not so that you're falling over. So make it hard, but not impossible, okay? So we don't want you to lose balance, but we want you to challenge your balance. Keep that control. Think about being that nice and long through the spine, through the crown of the head, core switched on, soft knee on the right. Good, we're going to do two more. Last one. Good, well done. And then relax down. Good, well done. Okay, have a little relaxer. And then, so again, find what works for you, best for you on this one. We can just come into a normal roll down, feet hip width apart, and rolling down through the spine. Again, if you want to challenge your balance a little bit more and change the stretch slightly, you can stand on one leg. So if you stand on your left leg, cross your right leg in front. Keep that spine up nice and tall. We're going to do a roll down with the legs crossed. So, up nice and tall, pelvis neutral, core switched on. We're going to really think about each vertebrae one at a time. So tuck chin into your neck, then rolling down, chin to chest. Keep that pelvis up tall for as long as possible. If you find this too much of a challenge, bring your feet hip width apart. We're going to roll down. Keep that pelvis nice and neutral for as long as possible. Controlling through. Keep the knees just soft, don't bend them too much. Good. And you'll feel that stretch through that back leg more than the front leg. Then we're going to stack up. Pelvis first. One vertebra at a time. Coming back up nice and tall. Good. And again, rolling down through the spine. One vertebra at a time. Control through. Good. And then stacking up pelvis first. Good. Do one more with that right leg crossed in front of the left. And then we're going to swap which leg's in front. So standing on your right leg, cross your left leg in front. Again, if you'd rather just have feet hip width apart, that's absolutely fine. So go with what feels right for you. We really want to articulate that spine one vertebra at a time as you control through the roll down. Keep the pelvis up tall for as long as possible. And then stacking up pelvis first. Good, well done. And again, rolling down. You feel that stretch more through that back leg than the front leg. One more time. Roll up with control, stacking through the spine. Good, well done. And then when you're up, you can just uncross the legs. We're going to come down onto the mat. You're going to have feet hip width apart, and then just gently rolling back down onto the mat. And make sure the neck is nice and long. So through the back of the neck, just make sure that that chin's not pointing up towards the ceiling. Tuck that chin down gently. You've just got room for an orange in between chin and chest. And then just slide those shoulder blades down away from the ears. So you're nice and long through the neck, wide through the collarbones. And then I just want you to lift your bottom up and then lower back down onto the mat. So you just come into nice neutral position through the spine. And we're going to imagine that marshmallow directly underneath belly button between spine and mat, that 2p coin directly underneath breastbone between spine and mat. I want you to squash down, so pushing your back down onto the mat. And then you're lifting up and away from that marshmallow, that 2p coin, so you should just be able to glide your fingers underneath that lower back. And again, push down. And then lift up and away. Good. Push down. And we're just going to come halfway down onto that marshmallow and make sure that the breastbone is down so that your spine is in contact with that 2p coin. And that nice neutral position. We're just going to come into hip twist to begin with. We're going to come into level 2. So we're going to engage through those core muscles. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to float one leg to tabletop. Keeping that pressure down on the mat, on the marshmallow. Breath in. As you breathe out, bring the other leg to join it. And then from there, we're going to imagine that the shins are like a front cover and back cover of a book. And you're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to open the front cover of the book, but we're going to keep the pressure of the back on the mat exactly the same. Breathe in and close that cover. Breathe out, open the other side. Breathe in and close back up. So that foot stays in line with the knee. Good. But we're making sure, so if you take your right leg out to the side, we're not increasing the pressure on the spine on that right side. So if you feel like you start to increase pressure on the side that you're moving to, don't go too fast, stop, control it, and come back up. So we're using those oblique tummy muscles to control that rotation through the spine. So we're trying to balance that lateral movement with the tummy muscles. Good. And having arms on the floor makes it slightly easier. If you find you can control it quite nicely, then maybe bring your arms across your chest and see if you can keep that control with the arms across the chest. Good. Keep those core muscles switched on. Breathing out, in as you come back. Out, in as you come back. Good. Let's do one more on either side. Keep that control. Make sure you're not moving beyond what you can control. So keeping that balance. Good, well done. Okay, and then from there, just have a little hug of those knees in towards your chest. Good. And then if you pop your hands onto your knees, just do a big circle of those knees over your chest. And then hug knees to chest one more time. Good. And then bring one leg onto the floor and the other one up to join it. I'm going to come up into sitting, so that means rolling onto your side and coming up into sitting. Then roll onto your side. If you're happy coming up onto the mat straight up, then you can do, but just be careful of your back. So from here, we're going to just work into a little reclined position and then just doing some leg taps. And I'll show you a couple of different versions of it. So we'll start off with the easiest version. Again, you can make this as easy or challenging as you want, depending on how much movement you add in. So we're going to come up nice and tall through the spine. We're going to engage through those core muscles. And then from there, we're going to roll back off the sitting bones and just curl the spine a little bit. And it might be that you just stay here. If you can come further back, then you can relax further back, then that's absolutely fine. When I say relax, it's still relative, isn't it? But you're working those tummy muscles, so you're keeping that distance in ribcage and pelvis short, you're keeping those shoulders away from your ears so we're not up here. Okay, and then from there, we're going to just see if we can lift one leg and then lower it back down. Breathing out, lift the other leg, in, lower it back down. Shouldn't hurt your back at all. We should be using those tummy muscles. If it's hurting your back, come up further and work here. Okay, so work where you're comfortable, breathing out and in. If you want to make it slightly harder, lift one leg up, bring the other one up, and then we're going to tap and lift back up. Tap and lift back up. Breathing out and in, out and in. Keep the shoulders down, working through the tummy. Good, keep that control, making sure you're still working through the tummy, not through the lower back. If it helps with keeping your shoulders down away from your ears, and turn your palms up, bring those shoulders down. Good. Let's do a couple more on either side. Last ones. Good, well done. And then we're going to come up and hug those knees. Good, well done. So that's slightly more challenging, that one, but it's just working on that balance using those tummy muscles and making sure we're not firing through the back. So we're just going to finish up doing a little bit of balance work on all fours. So we're going to come onto all fours, hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. We're going to take those shoulders away from your ears, lengthen through the spine, make sure you're nice and neutral through that lower back. We're going to engage through the core muscles. Pull that belly button up towards your spine. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to lengthen opposite arm and leg, keeping the spine nice and neutral. Breathe in, come back down again. Breathe out, lengthen other side. We're going fingertips and heels. So if you point your toes, you won't fire up through the bottom muscle as much. But we're making sure we're not arching through that lower spine. So we're keeping the spine nice and long. Keep the shoulders away from your ears. Breathe out as you lengthen opposite arm and leg. Breathe in, coming back down onto the mat. Good, breathing out. In as you come back down. Keep that spine nice and long. And really push with that heel rather than the toes. Let's do one more on either side. Good, well done. Okay, and then from there, we're just going to have a little stretch in this position. So we're going to keep those core muscles engaged in you. I want you to lengthen your right leg out behind you. And then from there, we're going to slide that right leg across to the left. So you're going to cross it behind that left leg, and I just want you to turn to look towards the right foot. So you're looking over your left shoulder towards your right foot, and you should feel a bit of an opening stretch through the right side of the body, right side of the outer hip, maybe into the leg. Depending on where you're tight, you're keeping those shoulders away from your ears and pushing that breastbone away from the mat. Just have a couple more breaths in there. Good. And then slide that foot back as you bring your head back to the centre. We're going to lengthen through the left leg. Slide that left leg behind your right leg, and then look down towards that left leg over your right shoulder and open up through the right side of the body. Keep those shoulders away from your ears, breastbone lifted away from the mat, so make sure you're not sinking in, pushing away. Good, well done. And then gently come back to the centre with the head and the foot. Good. And then we're just going to finish off with a little bit of a hip flexor stretch in that position. So, from all fours, just bring your left foot in between your hands. We're going to rest your hands onto your knees, so you come up into kneeling. We're going to think about lengthening down through the tailbone, so you push the front of the hip forward, and you imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs, and you might already feel a stretch through the front of the hip on that right side. If you can't, then you can just push the front of the hip forward. Don't lean forward, because that doesn't increase the stretch. You're going to push the front of the hip forward. But make sure you keep that nice neutral lower back pelvis, and you should increase the stretch through the front of that right hip. And just take a couple of nice big breaths in there. Good, one more breath in there. And then I'm going to gently come back down, hands onto the floor. We're going to bring that left foot back, kneeling onto that left knee, and then bring the right foot in front. Hands onto your right knee, coming up nice and tall. We're going to really lengthen down through the tailbone, pull up through the belly button, push the left hip forward, come up nice and tall. Feel that stretch through the front of the left thigh. Well done. Make sure you keep that nice neutral position through that lower back. One more breath in there. Good, and then gently bring the hands back down, bring that foot behind you, and you can relax off. And we are done, well done. So that just really challenges your balance, doing a little bit more work in standing and little things that you can challenge your balance with every day. So you can, as I say, if you're on the phone or waiting for the kettle to boil, then just try and balance on one leg, or add a challenge in just to try and keep those balance mechanisms active and working and challenging yourself, because the more you challenge yourself, the better those balance mechanisms will get. Good, well done, and I shall see you next time. Take care. Bye.